Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
It's funny to me because that seems like it comes as a surprise to Cassie every time. Like every episode. I'm like,
I was giving it like a couple seconds in the open because I'm looking at the actual wave, which I never actually ever do. So it's weird.
So funny to me.
So I'm just like looking at the wave, like okay, and
amazing.
Anyway, yeah. Welcome everybody.
Well, what's going on this week?
I have something to talk about. So this actually got sent to us last week by quite a few people. I feel like I think it's so funny when that happens. Like there will be something will hit the news and we'll get it from like 5 different people will message it to us. Mm-hmm. And this was this man in Japan who dated 35 women and told each one that he had a different birthday so that he would regularly receive birthday gifts.
Listen, 35 people is too many fucking people. I need to say it right off the bat.
Listen, I love gifts. And I'm like, yeah, that it's maintaining 35 different relationships is a lot. It's a lot.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, that's a high level scam. I find that I put a lot of energy into the one person I'm dating. Right? I can't imagine how organized of a person you'd have to be to pull off 35 relationships.
Well, and they have to be higher level relationships to receive gifts. So here's a question for you two. Like, I mean, because it can't be like he just started dating these people and then he's like, my birthday's tomorrow. Because like, I don't know, I would be like, all right, I'll buy you a beer on your birthday. You have to date somebody for like a minute before I'm going to buy you a gift, you know?
You got to layer it out. So it's got to be like there's like a 6-month ahead plan, right? Like my birthday's 6 months from now.
Yeah,
so
but
like
6 months.
Staggering.
6 months is a long time to date somebody. Like to date 35 people. Like that's a lot.
It's like a song in church, like where you layer like a row your boat thing, right? Like they got a
round.
Thank you.
But I guess he's up on fraud charges now, which is like, yikes.
Well, is that fraud though?
Yes.
I mean,
it's gifts.
It was gifts. You know what I mean? Like, is he a piece of shit for probably lying to all of these people that he was dating? Like, yeah, but is it criminal?
I don't know that it is criminal. Like, that's the thing is I'm just like, yeah, it's shitty. Like, it makes you like a shitty person. But if you didn't, well, no one forced them. No one forced them to give gifts. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that's tough though. It's the same as like all these scam stuff that's out now. I don't want to be like, oh, those women should have known better or anything like that.
No,
that's
they couldn't have known.
Definitely not what we're saying.
No, not at all. They couldn't have known. Like, that's not it at all. It's just that, like, yes, they gave gifts under false pretenses, but they were gifts. So it's kind of, I don't know.
But then also, too, there's that as a gift loophole, because then there's the big scam where these people are like, oh, buy a gift card, send money via gift cards.
Absolutely.
So then, well, that's a gift. It's a gift card. So I guess I wonder, I mean, I don't know. I guess this is the thing that I think probably is the crux of this whole situation, is that we have to figure out, because this is so new, right? Scamming in the digital age is not new, but like it's so, like, what do we consider scamming? What do we consider, and really at this point, there's love scams aren't even criminal, right? I mean,
yeah, a lot of times there's not. It's so heartbreaking when people get romance scammed.
Yeah,
I've joked about my mom thinking that she was dating a retired 4-star general, but it's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's so beyond just the cost of the money that you put in, the actual like emotional cost of being lied to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a scam. Like, they're definitely being scammed. Like, I'm not saying that they're not. It's just, I don't know if in the United States, at least, if fraud charges would stick for this. I don't know what the laws are like in Japan. Like, maybe they will. We'll keep you up to date. We'll follow the story and report back. But, you know,
scams are interesting as a whole, though. That's the thing. It's like the whole idea of the scam. And there's so many ways to scam people.
Oh, like Coachella this year. I have been living for the TikToks about Coachella because I have seen some chaos unfold, like Fire Festival level chaos.
Which is weird because this is a festival that's been going on for quite some time, right?
Yeah, I just think it's not it anymore.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think having the 2-year break, I think the chaos surrounding Kanye pulling out last minute, there was something going on with Revolve or whatever that was making Instagrammers cry.
Yeah, that was the main one. Because, I mean, like, Coachella is Coachella, and I think, like, for the most part, Coachella's operating fine, but it was that Revolve party where things just really fell apart. Like,
so do you know what happened? I mean, I know that, like, basically what I've heard is that the Revolve thing was like a fire fest. Like there was no like toilets, that kind of, like, it was like a whole thing, right? Like a little similar.
Okay, so I only know through like other people telling me about it. So I haven't read anything. So I could be completely wrong. But I think it was like they invited all of these influencers and they were like, you're a VIP, right? And they gave them all VIP wristbands, which if you give everyone a VIP wristband, no one is a VIP, you know, right? It's just like
really negates. But the VIP wristband was for Coachella, not for this Revolve party.
I thought it was for the party, but I could be totally wrong. But so
that
then,
I actually did see. Is it because I saw a TikToker and her VIP band was for just the Coachella concert, not for the Revolve. The Revolve party was a private thing that they were hosting for their people.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they shuttled them all there, which is like, so they couldn't leave on their own. They were like shuttled into this like remote area of the desert. And then they got there and then they made them all like wait 2 hours, like outside in line to go in. And it's like,
fuck you.
2 hours in the Coachella Valley outside. It's hot. Like,
or was it at night? Because then it's freezing fucking cold and you got like what? Probably some skimpy ass outfit on, heels.
Oh, you know, yeah. Because you're doing it for the
2
gram.
hours?
You're trying to look as good as possible.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. You guys haven't seen me camping. I look horrifying. There is no way that I could ever look good enough to go to Coachella. Like, I don't know how these people look good in all the pictures they're taking. I'm like, it is sweaty. It is hot. You are outside. A lot of you are camping because you don't want to pay for.
Yeah. No, and somebody, something I was reading was saying that this is actually too, like, kind of the first Coachella since TikTok has become so prevalent, and that Instagram is great at selling that image of Coachella as like the still images of just fabulousness. But when you see it on video, what it actually is, it's just like, you see the dirt. You see the mud,
the porta potties,
the long lines, the porta potties, and you really get a sense of how shitty it is to be there.
I gotta say, like, God bless TikTok, man. It has, I love it there. It is such a fun place to be.
Me too.
Okay, so we can talk about this. So I posted a TikTok last week because, and this, I haven't even discussed this with you really. Last week, I went to a bar after rehearsal, and I was sitting at a booth by myself with all my papers out because I'm making notes, and I've got my laptop open, and I'm working, like obviously working. And this guy sits down across from me. It is one of the most bizarre situations I've ever had happen in my life. Weird. It was so weird. So he sat down across from me, and he was just like, so let me tell you why I'm qualified for this job.
Okay, so first of all, here's his thoughts. He's like, here's this beautiful woman. She's clearly working. I need to go in with those boss energy vibes and have it be like an interview. He's like, I'm so smart. That's what he's thinking.
Okay, but here's the thing. You that's the worst way to my heart, is to force me into an improv set with you. Like don't make me yes and you, a stranger at my table.
I mean,
see, now that's the way to my heart, though.
Yeah,
I love a yes and scenario. I'm like, sir,
God,
actually, you're
horrible.
underqualified for this position entirely. I am going to have to ask you to leave.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
I said good day.
I don't begrudge somebody for shooting their shot, whatever. But what bothered me the most about your story is that he doubled down after you politely told him, like, I'm married, like,
I'm
thanks,
working. Yeah.
I'm working.
Yeah.
Like, go away, pretty much in a nice way. That he later on decided, like, no means try harder, and like came and tried to hit you up again.
Yeah,
and that's what bothers me.
He got in the booth next to me, because at first he was across from me and he went away and I was like, fine, I was working. Then he got in the booth next to me, like on the bench next to me, and was like, what are you working on? And was like looking at my computer. And I'm just like, it's so invasive.
That also,
it's so invasive. And so I made that TikTok, I posted it or whatever, and it made its way to the wrong side of TikTok. And
I think you mean the exact right side of TikTok. Here come the incels.
Here come the incels. And like this one guy in particular, I can't get over it, because what he said was, if you don't want the attention of males, don't be around them.
Okay.
And it was just like, but how?
My pleasure.
How? Like, they're 49% of the population, my guy. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that in itself is a scam, man. What are you? It's bananas. And he doubled, tripled down on that stance too. That's actually it's unfortunate, but tell me you're a liberal without telling me that you're a liberal. I was reading a Vanity Fair article about this basic prevalence of this group of people that's coming around, and it's worrisome because it's younger people basically embracing traditional gender roles, or traditional masculine roles, and I'm like, no.
And I don't even, I would need them to explain to me, like, exactly what do you mean? Like, you mean that in every sense, or like, because I did have a lot of people on that, incel-y type people commenting about how, like, well, this is what men are supposed to do. They're supposed to be like bold and forward and all of this stuff. And I'm like, but we don't want it. Like,
yeah.
I don't ever want you to come sit in my booth with me ever. No. Anyone. Like, please don't.
Who is this for? It's not for me, because I clearly am not interested.
And you don't care. Like, you don't care that it's not for me either.
The thing that is, this is the thing that really got to me, was the number of people who were just like, well, why are you at a bar?
You wouldn't be there if you didn't want attention. Yeah, you wouldn't be there if you didn't want to get hit on. And I'm like, that's not absolutely like what bars are for.
It's so offensive. Yeah,
it's so stupid.
Like judging you for making a choice to go out into the world and do something.
Like, I didn't respond to any of those people because I was just like, I don't owe you an explanation for why I do anything that I do.
Right.
But, I was at a bar because I am working all of the time, right? Like, just because I'm juggling this show, we're trying to get this show off the ground, and I'm still trying to do like my podcast stuff and work and everything else. And so I sit at home or at rehearsal and I work. And that's all I do, is like, I'm at home working, and then I pack up my laptop and I go and I work at rehearsal until 10 o'clock at night. And then after that, I'm like, I could go back home where I've been all day. And I was like, I don't want to go back home. I want a change of scenery. Like, I want to be somewhere else. So I'm like, I know that there's this beer bar that I can go to where I know their Wi-Fi. I can sit in a booth on my own.
Girl,
right?
You do not have to justify or explain, and it's shitty that you should have to.
It's stupid.
It's, to me, I'm just like, I was surprised by the number of people who were like, who works in a bar? This is so stupid. Like, why would you? And I'm like, people have reasons.
Yeah. And I don't have to justify any of them with you.
Exactly.
Ma'am.
Oh my God.
Sir. None of the above. Anyway, well, we are once again recording remotely again. So if it sounds a bit funny, we just want to be clear, but we will be seeing each other very soon.
I know.
You guys, we have our live show coming up in Austin. We are so excited. If you are in the Austin area, we would love to see you. The date for that is
May
it is
5th.
May 5th.
I was like, wait.
May 5th.
I'm like, insert robot voice with the answer there. May 5th in Austin. All the details are on our website, which is, of course, myworstdatepodcast.com. You can go there, find out information, get times, get information on ticket prices. So we are really hoping to see some of you guys out. That would be amazing. It should be a really fun show. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited
absolutely.
too. And I haven't seen you guys, which just makes it like extra exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we get to have ladies' time out on the town.
Yeah. And I've never been to Austin, so I'm
either.
really stoked to check out the city.
Yeah, we got ourselves a nice little Airbnb situation, which I'm pretty stoked on. It looks cool. I've been to Austin quite a few times, but it's always been for work. Well, I guess this is kind of going for work too, but it'll be fun to like be there with friends as opposed to just being there by myself. But yeah. Oh, also that, like, if you're from Austin and you have like places that we should definitely go, it would even be fun, like for some of our worsties, like it'd be cool to like know, like
Meet up.
do a little bar meetup or something. That would be really
Absolutely.
rad. So we're stoked.
Yeah.
We soaked that in.
Well, who should we FMK this week?
Who's playing at Coachella?
Ooh, we've got The Weeknd stepped into Kanye's spot.
To be
Okay,
honest,
love
would
him.
rather watch The Weeknd.
I
Yeah.
would too. I love him.
Love The Weeknd.
And who was the other?
I have literally no clue.
I don't know either. I'm literally Googling it right
disconnected
now.
from this year's
Okay,
Coachella.
so there was Harry Styles, but I feel like we've fucked, marry, killed him a lot recently, and he will always be my forever love. I saw the music video for As It Was, and that man has my whole heart. Swedish House Mafia, Billie Eilish, Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman was at
That is the
Coachella.
most fucking random thing I've ever heard of.
So weird.
Fat Boy Slim. He's still doing stuff.
Doja Cat, Carly Rae Jepsen,
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion, Phoebe Bridgers, who I love.
Oh, yeah. Finneas. Run the Jewels.
Oh, hell yeah. Run the
Okay,
Jewels.
so there's like a lot. Okay. Yeah, let's fuck, marry, kill Coachella people,
All right,
bands.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Artists.
Well,
Okay.
definitely The Weeknd is that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to put The Weeknd in. I feel like...
I'm putting Doja Cat in there. She's weird. I love it. Okay.
She's a vibe.
She's a
full
whole ass
vibe.
vibe.
Did she quit? She quit like music or something?
Did
I
she?
hear that? That she retired? She's like, I don't want to do this anymore or something.
I mean, more power to her. She could have a whole ass career on TikTok. She doesn't need to be making albums. She's
It's true.
fine.
I'm going to do Finneas.
Okay.
Finneas.
Billie Eilish's brother, Finneas?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, okay. The Weeknd, Finneas, and Doja Cat.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a very TikTok heavy Coachella for sure.
Oh, it
Which
absolutely
makes so much sense.
is.
Honestly, okay. When we go back to this real quickly about like the verses, right? The TikTok verses, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I so much love the idea that it's just not fake makeup. It's just so much more authentic and real.
I absolutely agree. I prefer TikTok over Instagram 100%.
Instagram gives
like,
me anxiety to post on, to be honest.
yeah, it feels like it has to be perfect or has to be like an image where I'm like, well, most of my TikToks, I'm not wearing a stitch of makeup.
Same,
I'm just
same.
like,
And I'm
oh
like,
shit,
this
I've
is
got
fine.
this idea. I better do it right now before it leaves me.
And that's what makes it so much more fun for everybody, not just us as content creators, but as consumers of content as well. You have this like, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
No, I'm
FMK.
look. This we are just honestly. This feels like an ad for TikTok. This entire episode, they should be paying us money. Okay. Oh man, I feel like this FMK is actually kind of hard. Like,
Yeah, I'm struggling here because
I
you
know.
got Doja Cat, who's just fun, wild chaos. You got Finneas, who seems like cool guy, songwriter, like
that's your vibe, Christina.
jet setting
For
kind of
sure.
thing. And then you got The Weeknd, who I'm like, he knows something. If he's pulling Angelina Jolie,
I know what I'm doing.
He has pulled so many. Like, he dated like Bella Hadid for a long time.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
what you know, Weekends? Like what?
well, he's
what,
one of those guys. I was telling Cassie when we were listening to him on a trip once, where I was just like, this man better fuck good, because like
No, that was Bruno Mars.
It was both. It was both of them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like because The Weeknd straight up says some filthy shit in songs where I'm like, this man.
You better know how to fuck.
I mean,
You better know how to fuck.
he sings like he does.
That's
He
right.
sings like he does.
and
There-
he pulls.
and I feel like you can
and he
tell.
pulls women who you would think. I mean, Angelina Jolie knows what good fucking is. I feel like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I trust her.
me too.
I know for sure. I know for sure what I am going to do. I'm definitely
Okay.
going to marry The Weeknd, and I think that we've said it. Like, first of all, yes, there's all the greatness of his energy. He's an amazing singer. He's all those things, but the big picture is that he is a boss, dude. He knows his shit.
He has a strong vision.
Yes, he has a vision. He knows what he wants. What he did for the Super Bowl when he was,
I
performing
loved
for the
his
Super-
halftime show.
Yeah,
I loved
his halftime
it.
show was dope, and he paid for all of it pretty much because they weren't going to be able to provide what he wanted, and so that says a lot to me. Somebody who knows what they want and is not afraid to just do the things necessary to make it happen. That is a go-getter vibe that I am here for.
Yeah, he's definitely artistic. You know, he definitely has a vision. That plastic surgery thing that he did was like weird, but it was still like a choice, an artistic choice.
Yeah,
and,
And a message,
Yeah.
honestly.
So, yeah.
And a message. Like, and I really appreciate somebody who has a strong vision and a message, especially when they can use their art to create something about that. Like, to me, that really resonates
Yeah,
with me.
and I like that his sound is always kind of evolving and changing. He's trying new things, which I like. You know, I like a person who can grow and change, and
yes.
that's a good partner. Yeah.
He seems like he's open, willing to learn, and he, to be honest, of all of them, feels like the feminist. Well, no, I bet Finneas is too. Now, see, this is where I'm
Well,
torn
Doja Cat is
because-
too.
Well, right. I mean, as far as like willing, yeah, for sure. I meant as one of the guys.
Oh,
being
okay, yeah,
a
sure.
feminist, yeah. I would say that when I was about to say that goes without saying, but it doesn't.
No,
because
it sure
we know
don't.
It doesn't.
It sure doesn't.
We know it does not. I'm torn between Finneas and Doja, and here's why. I think Doja is the sexiest. I think she would be the wildest in bed, but I also think that she probably suffers from a little bit of the same syndrome that I do, which is like, when I'm done, I'm done. And I don't
When I'm done,
care
we're
about
done.
you. Yeah. When I'm done, you're done too. Yeah. And I feel like Finneas is a giver, probably a little more.
Yeah. He seems more of a giver, than Doja Cat. I think I know what I'm gonna do too.
Yeah.
I'm going to marry The Weeknd.
Yeah.
I am too. He's just there's something he knows, something about his songs that tells me I'm going to be satisfied in that arena as well. And then I gotta fuck Finneas, and I didn't marry him because there's still that.
He's young.
He's a young songwriter. I'm just like, I don't know.
You see,
It is your weakness.
If I
This
gotta
is-
carry an amp again in my life,
this is the issue, with Finneas, because I'm like, I feel that. I feel that in my heart. Like, but I'm like, Finneas feels like every mistake I made
Yes.
ages 17 to 21. You know, like I'm like,
100%.
I feel like
Oh my God. You nailed the age range too. It is spot fucking on.
these specific.
Oh my God. I know that age range very fucking well.
Yeah.
what do we call that then when you end up hooking up with a guy like that? Is that nostalgia? How do
Nostalgic?
you nostalgic?
I think We have a title for
Yes.
this episode. Nostalgic.
Oh God, like that hit me right in my soul. Yes.
Yeah. And you're like, it just takes you back to the time and place. The older you get, you're like, I'm too old to be here right now.
Right
I
after it
don't want
happens,
to
you're
have
like,
to search for my underwear the next morning. That isn't the place I'm at anymore. I don't.
You're like shaking the dust bunnies off because you know he don't sweep under the bed.
He sure don't. God damn it. I ain't putting them back on either. Put those puppies right in my pocket. God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Well.
so I'm going to also marry The Weeknd. I
It's a
just feel like
solid
of the
choice.
three, that's the choice. Because Doja Cat is too much chaos, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't be married to that because, like, I think she's hilarious. I think it's really funny, but it is true mayhem. And long term, I feel like we're going to end up robbing a bank or something. I can't do it. And choosing between her and Finneas for who to fuck is kind of hard because
Right?
I know myself and I would probably end up sleeping with a Finneas, but I'm going to make a different choice.
Oh,
I'm going to choose to make a different choice.
Okay. In this choose your own adventure, you're picking page 69.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I wasn't going to mention this, but since you just said that,
No.
my friend who shall not be named, she has a group chat of her like high school friends, and her high school friend texted her something along the line of like nobody likes to 69. And then I was thinking, and I was like,
It's kind of
do
true.
adults
Right?
69? Like I feel like that's something that stops after you're like 21. Like you just stop doing that. Like
Yes.
One at a time. You know what I mean?
It's not enjoyable for anyone. You either focus on accepting or focus on giving. You cannot focus on both.
it's good in concept. Like
There's
theory.
There's science around multitasking and the fact that it just really doesn't work. And I feel like the 69 is definitely part of that.
And I
that
feel like
study.
everyone has an era where they try that
I
regularly.
believe it's 17 to 21.
17 to
I think it's the
21.
same area.
I think it's the Finneas,
exactly.
the Finneas Curve.
And it's always with guys like that too. It's always with guys like that. For
You're like,
sure.
I gotta try something sassier. I'm not gonna
On a
keep
mattress on the floor.
I'm never gonna keep this guy if I can't learn how to 69 right. God damn it.
But you're exactly right, Christina. That is why it's unsatisfying. Is because I'm like, I'm too focused on what I'm doing to
Right.
enjoy what's happening.
What's happening? Yeah,
It's
exactly.
too much. You can't. You can only focus as a giver or a taker. You cannot be both. You can't be receiving and giving properly at the same
Thank
time.
you.
You just can't.
Thank you for validating that for me because I really was thinking about it hard, and I'm like, I don't think adults do that. Like, I don't.
No, and there are other things like that too. Like, you know, people thinking like having sex in a hot tub is a good idea. It's
yeah.
like no, it's not.
That's
Again,
that's
only in the
you
Finneas
try
Curve.
it once.
Water's
Yes.
not a lubricant.
No, oh God, especially not fucking hot, fucking bacteria water. God damn, yuck.
You are gonna get a yeast infection.
Oh yeah, you're getting a UTI for sure, for fucking sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is a terrible transition, but we do actually have a new page.
Sorry,
The worst transition ever.
No.
Oh no. But we do want to say thank you and a shout out to Jillian D. Jillian D, welcome to the Worsty Club.
Yes.
We'll
Welcome.
have rewards and that kind of thing out to you soon. And, you know, you definitely get a really fun Tainted Love movie in May. We just reviewed Witches of Eastwick.
Oh, wild
Wow.
times.
Wow.
Wowie woo wow. Jack Nicholson made me throw up in my mouth.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
That sounds good.
Sounds good. And we're back. Okay, Christina, you kick us off with stories this week.
All right. I got this one from Reddit. They say, I don't know worst, but my first few months of online dating, I decided to meet this guy after we did a quick Skype chat. We met pretty late, and he took me to a park near his place, which I now actually live near. I was really new in town and had no idea where we went. And the first thing he did, which bothered me, was try to stick his finger through my ear gauge.
Why?
No.
Why would you do that?
What the fuck is wrong with people? Oh my God.
Can't tell you how much I hate when men do this, and I stopped wearing tunnels because it seemed to invite men to stick a finger into
I'm sorry.
them.
Wow. I hate when men do this. This is something that is happening regularly for you.
That's right.
Appalling.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, just unwanted physical poking is not.
Just don't.
No. I stupidly let him drive us to this park. So this happened when I was stuck with him. So he pulls out this bottle of wine. I end up taking it over while he talked and talked about his experience growing up in the church, about Burning Man, and I don't know what else because I was really focused on the wine bottle. And I got white girl wasted.
Noise.
Suddenly he asks if he can kiss me, and I think I shrugged. He kissed me. And when he broke away, I immediately vomited towards the lake. And
Oh my God.
shrugged.
Oh my God. She's like, oh.
She's like, okay. But
Oh no.
he ended up walking me up to his hippie Burning Man van, and I laid down, passed out in the back under the weed-smelling blanket he had back there.
Dude, that doesn't feel safe at all.
I know. I wouldn't let him take me home because I was staying with a friend still. So at whatever point I was awake enough, I stumbled to the nearest bus stop to go back to my friend's place.
This whole thing sounds like danger. This is the kind of story. Once
This is
again,
on the Finneas Curve.
Yeah, once again, 17 to 21. This is the kind of thing that you look back on and you're like, how did I not die? Like,
How did I live? Exactly.
How am I alive? Like, we all have stories like that where you're just like, I should have died that night. It should have been over for me.
Yeah. This was a
it.
Dateline episode.
I
Honestly.
never saw her again.
Exactly. In hindsight, he was a pretty good dude because he didn't take advantage of me, and I was probably the bad date story, having drank his bottle of wine and used his van as a free place to crash. Plus, I puked right after he kissed me.
Can we just say that, like, you're not a good guy for doing that. You're just a normal person, like, to not assault someone. Like,
Exactly.
Thank you.
that's what should be happening. I don't like it that the bar is set that, like, oh, he didn't assault me, so he's a pretty good guy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 8 months later when he hits me up asking if I was down for a threesome with his new girlfriend and himself.
Whoa.
This tracks.
Okay, well, Keegan, I think you gave him too much credit for a minute.
He said we had, in quotes, unfinished business.
okay,
Do
says
we,
who?
sir?
I threw up after you kissed me last time, sir. Like,
Anyhow, I was newly dating someone else and passed. I feel like the guy mentioned the large size of his dick in some "you're missing out" sign out. But whenever I'm in that park, I think about that night, the wine, and the struggle with the church that this guy monologued on for a while.
Oh no.
I can relate.
And you live right next to your shameful story. Just pass it every day on the way to work.
You're having
Oh,
flashbacks
goddamn.
every day. Precisely. Oh, God. Full body shudders. Okay. All right. This was an email that was sent to us. It says, I want to let y'all know. Okay, so this is the first sentence of this, so you know what we're getting into. I want to let y'all know I'm safe, and this lurker disappeared after this incident, and it was 5+ years ago. Trigger warning, stalking.
Oof.
I met a guy on Tinder and we went on one date. I was about to move away and was really excited about it and was talking about my dreams and goals for the new move on the date. Since this was a casual date, we ended up going back to my place to smoke a little bit. As we are sitting there hanging out, he started talking about his kinks and mentioned that he was into cuckolding.
Oh.
Okay.
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 All right.
Coming out with it on a first date, but
Coming strong.
Fine.
Coming in hot.
He was clean cut, normal looking by all accounts. And I was like, cool,
Tracks.
cool.
This is
Then-
exactly the guy.
Yeah. Then out of nowhere, this dude drops a derogatory racial slur. Which, again, that's another thing.
Sure.
I feel like I have a running list of like things that you think wouldn't happen on first dates that we have had multiple stories of.
Jesus.
And like just blurting out racial slurs is one of those, which is
yeah.
Too often, actually.
Yeah.
it happens frequently. I was horrified and said, "What the fuck?" Jumped up, opened my front door, and promptly kicked him out. I blocked him and unmatched on the app, and although I was shook, I was happy that was over. Fast forward 6 months later, I have moved and I'm a couple of states away and working in a cannabis shop that is similar to a bar but for weed. People can come in and use their products there. One day I'm working and this guy comes in and doesn't have any products and was alone, kind of weird, and sat there my entire shift and talked to me. He had a big beard and was very focused on me. My coworker even mentioned it like, "Ooh, he has a crush on you." Normally I worked alone, so this was rare to have a coworker on closing shift with me. And the guy also tipped me $50 at the end when we told him we were closing and he had to go. When I went out to my car, he was standing behind it
Ooh.
No.
and popped out and
Nope,
was like,
9-1-fucking-1.
right? And was like, "You don't remember me? I'm the guy you kicked out of your apartment in Austin."
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
No.
Terrifying. I freaked out and ran back into the shop crying, and luckily there were people around to help me, and a coworker drove behind me back to my house and called my roomies to make sure all their boyfriends were staying over that night. I didn't see a weapon, but who the fuck travels 16 plus hours
Dude.
What?
because she moved states? 16 plus hours 6 months later to stalk you after a bad first date.
Dude.
That's so scary.
Dude.
So intense. I believe
I'm
he was
shook.
there with bad intentions and thought I had no support system because I had moved there recently. I never heard from this dude again after that night. He is still on Tinder though. I saw his profile last year and I immediately swiped left and then regretted not screenshotting it so I could blacklist this motherfucker. I was very scared of dating after this and took me a long time to put myself out there again. Happy note, earlier this year in 2022, I made the grave decision to try the apps again and ended up meeting my wonderful boyfriend on Tinder. He's incredibly kind and thoughtful, gives mutual respect, and is very understanding of my weird quirks with dating, especially from that other experience. I now always tell my friends, don't link your social media to your apps. Don't invite dudes over, and take a screenshot of their photos and name and send that info to a trusted friend before going out with someone new. I do think that bad date was a stalker already and has probably done this to other women. He blended into society just fine, which is even more terrifying.
Wow.
Yikes.
That
I
is-
remember when I talked about the fact that like the apps should make it easy to do like background checks
Yep.
and stuff on people. I think I just saw that Tinder or Match Group is paired up now with one of the like people searcher sites or whatever, so that they're facilitating like you can get background checks through Tinder for people.
Good. Because yes, somebody who travels 16 hours, finds out where you work 6 months later, just kind of lurks. Like he grew a beard out and just kind of lurked and watched her for a few hours in a place where she normally works alone. So I wonder if he thought that she would eventually be alone that night. And that's why he stuck out that whole time. You know, like this is definitely someone who either has done this before or will do it again.
Oh,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
Psychotic behavior. Honestly. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, after that, get to follow up with this. Mine was also an email that was sent to us, and it says, "Hi, longtime listener, first time submission.
Ooh, welcome.
Hi.
Love what y'all do times infinity.
Love it.
XOXO. No. To preface, I was probably freshly 21 and in college and trying to enjoy my summer and going on dates. As I was swiping through, I came across a guy who maybe I could like. He seemed like the lanky, dorky type. However, I noticed that none of his photos included pictures of his eyes. Always wearing sunglasses, a helmet,
Motorcycle?
whatever to hide his eyes. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever to wear to hide his eyes. Now, I was telling myself not to be shallow, Miranda. She put her name in, so I'm saying it. And the textual chemistry seemed good, so I decided to meet him for a date at the restaurant famous for its blue margaritas. I meet him at the restaurant, and he's cute. Bonus that he didn't actually have a lazy eye.
Hey, as somebody that has to deal with it, it is a pain in the ass for sure.
You're like bitch triggered. Turns out he was just oblivious that he didn't have any posts with pictures of his face and where his eyes were showing. Anyway, we ordered the famous blue margaritas, which are listed as limited to 1 drink per order. And we're conversing, and we have a lot of the same interests, some same hometown region, same background. He excused himself to the bathroom. He spent maybe 10 minutes in there. I was confused, but I tried to think, not to think much of it. We were talking more after he comes back, and after a while, he excuses himself to go to the bathroom again. Now I'm thinking cocaine.
Yeah.
Literally wrote cocaine.
Wonderful.
He returns clearly not like his normal self. He confesses that he was drinking with his friends prior to the date, and the blue margarita was hitting him so hard, and he was constantly vomiting in the bathroom.
Oh, no.
How much alcohol is in these margaritas? Like they're limited 1 per table, so it must be like 50% tequila.
And I'm assuming that there's like those fishbowl ones.
Those
right?
big fishbowl ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're like
Huge. Yikes, she says. He decides that he should go home. It has been so many years, but I don't remember what happened. But I ended up following him home to make sure he was okay. I was young and dumb, and I shouldn't have let him drink and drive. But my non-confrontational, naive 21-year-old self just let him. Right in that Finneas Curve.
Yep.
And yes, this guy was swerving on the drive home. After getting to his complex, I walked him to his apartment. This guy is so drunk, he actually stumbles and falls straight onto his ass, or on his ass onto the ground.
You know, this poor man has the worst shame receipt about this night. You know, he wakes up sweating thinking about this sometimes, you know.
So sweaty. So sweaty. I die laughing, trying to enjoy this adventure I was having. We get to his apartment door, and he claims that he doesn't have his keys or phone on him, and that he left them in his car. He asks me to go get them because he was so wasted. I gave him, and he gave me his car keys. His car was semi-far and hard to find, but I get there and absolutely could not find his belongings. I give up after a few minutes and go back to his apartment door to find him. Turns out his phone and his keys were in his pocket, but he was too drunk to notice. Oh my God, you're right. He literally is like, just shakes himself like hot, cold sweat.
we've all been on both sides of this, actually.
Yeah, this is one of those dates, like one of those situations where he's driving. You know, has that ever happened to you? Like that happens to me sometimes when I'm driving, and then I'm like, oh.
Yes. Just,
you know, like
God.
you just have that sudden memory, and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll just drive head on into traffic now.
Go right over this cliff. This is fine. We go inside, and this guy goes to the bathroom to just hug the toilet.
Honey, why are you still there? I'd be like, are you in your apartment? I'm going. I'm getting out of here.
Goodbye.
I watch him to make sure he's okay. At this point, I feel so uncomfortable watching the stranger hang over his toilet, and I felt like I could leave. I actually record our convo to ask him and make sure I wasn't responsible for whatever happened after I leave.
Oh my God.
Again, young.
Just like get my alibi solid.
Yeah.
You know?
So what you're saying, one more time, real quickly. So what you're saying is that you are okay, right? Yes?
Yeah. Can you say it into the microphone, please?
a little louder? One more time for
Let
the
the
mic.
record show.
That he is leaning.
Honestly, you should turn the camera on too. Get that shit on video. Like you're like, I didn't manipulate this. I didn't manipulate the audio. I swear to God.
This is me leaving. I do not have a key to get back in. Again, young, dumb, and naive. Finally, I got to leave as he was still clutching his toilet. I went home and we never spoke again. But damn, my too forgiving, caring, people-pleasing self. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen,
Wow.
I can relate, especially at 21. I would have done all of that stuff at 21.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
21-year-old me would be Yeah, for sure.
I'm not gonna lie that sometimes in my late 30s, like that didn't happen. So, life's a roller coaster. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, you guys want to take a quick break and come back with Tainted Love?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay, so this week is my Tainted Love. I had that thing I always do of course we've talked about this. Of course we've talked about this. This story is so familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It was on an episode of Disappeared, which was a show I know I watched on Investigation Discovery. So maybe it just got in this way, and we haven't talked about it yet. So I'm going to talk about the disappearance of Jerry Michael Williams. Okay.
I don't think I know this. That doesn't sound familiar
Yeah, I was
yet.
just thinking the same thing. I don't think I know the story.
I got a lot of my information from, there's a lot of great articles from the Tallahassee Democrat. It's a paper there, and a specific reporter, Jennifer Portman, stayed on this story for like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So kudos to her.
Okay.
And then there's a Wikipedia, of course, and a blog called Chilling Crimes. So Jerry Michael Williams, he went by Mike. So we'll call him Mike for the rest of the story. He grew up in Bradfordville, which was just north of Tallahassee, the son of a Greyhound bus driver and a daycare provider who raised him and his older brother Nick in a double-wide trailer instead of buying a house. They wanted to save their money so both boys, who helped working nights at supermarkets, could attend North Florida Christian High School.
Oh,
So it was like just
they
a
made
better,
a lot of sacrifices for them to go to a private school.
correct. Like they wanted their kids to succeed, so they put them in this great school that gave them opportunities. And Mike super excelled. He served as student council president. He played football. He was active in Key Club. And at the age of 15, he also began duck hunting as a hobby. This is how he got to be friends with Brian Winchester. I'm like,
Okay.
now you
I know
the
this story. I've seen this Dateline.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes. So he's like, okay, like he made friends with Brian Winchester. And then also he started dating this really pretty fellow student, Denise Morrell. So after high school, he attends Florida State University, where he majored in poli-sci and urban planning. He gets hired with this like amazing job opportunity as a property appraiser, and he's like making six figures.
Wow.
At this time. So this is like in the 90s too.
Jesus.
So like I don't know what that money is today, but he's doing really, really well. And he proposes to Denise. It's like his high school sweetheart. They get married in 94, and it's just like, it's perfect.
They live happily ever after. End of story. Oh, that was
end.
so sweet.
And they buy this home in this upscale subdivision, and he gets to go hunting with his best friend, Brian Winchester. And then Denise gets pregnant, and he has a daughter, and just everything is fantastic. Mike is living the dream.
You love to see it.
So, but now that he's come so far so fast, like he's got this small young family, and his boss is like, hey, you're making all this money. You have a lot of obligations. You have a young family. You should think about insurance to protect him. He's like, you're right. I should. My best friend, Brian, actually sells life insurance.
Ooh.
So I'm going to talk to him about it. And Brian's like, bro, you got to make sure like you go duck hunting. That's dangerous. So, if something were to happen to you, you need a big policy to take care of your family. And I think you should get this one for $1.75 million.
Holy shit.
It's a lot of life insurance. But I mean,
That's a ton of, look, I've seen far too many Datelines and Snaps to ever get that
right.
much life insurance.
That's right. You keep that life
I'm
insurance.
like, I'm
just
not
enough to
getting $1
cover
million.
That's right. I want just enough life insurance to cover my burial, and that's it. And I'm not getting buried. I'm just getting cremated. So
yeah, and I get it now that life insurance is also to cover the cost of like not having his income anymore when he's
Of course.
the main
Yeah, you want your
breadwinner.
family to be taken care of, but I'm also like, you're making it look a little too enticing with that 1.8 million.
But also, yeah, I've seen people do really awful stuff for like
less.
way less money than that.
Yeah, on this very podcast, we've talked about people like agreeing to take people out for like $5K. You're like, what?
Doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah. So I'm like, 1.75 million just gives people that many reasons to want you out of the picture.
1.75 reasons.
Yes.
That's a million reasons, exactly.
So
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I feel at peace. God forbid something happens to me. Like my homeboy Brian set me up. I'm good. So December 16th, 2000. So, he's going to get up early to go duck hunting at Lake Seminole. And he planned to be back early so that he and Denise could celebrate their 6th wedding anniversary. When he didn't return by noon, Denise called her dad to say, hey, Mike didn't come home. He said he would be home early. We have plans. It's our freaking anniversary. So he calls Brian Winchester, and Brian and his dad go to find him. They're like, we go hunting with him all the time. We didn't go today, but we know where his spots are. So we're going to go and look for him. They find his Ford Bronco near a remote boat launch, which was weird. So they call Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. That's like who runs the lake. So basically park rangers. So not the police. Park rangers come because it's a case of a missing hunter. So it's not treated like a crime scene. It's treated like somebody maybe fell overboard or is hurt inside the park.
An aside, but on the Dateline, this park ranger's accent is so great. Like it is so perfectly like rural Florida.
Yes, very much so. So they're looking around. They find his boat, but nothing else. Like nothing suggested anything foul, just a tragic accident. They were going to search more, but a storm rolled in, so they had to postpone and pick it up the next day. But from all appearances, it looked like Mike went out alone, fell out of his boat, and drowned, and then alligators ate his remains. That is what everybody was saying. It's like...
It's Florida, so yeah.
Yeah.
Gators.
But what is weird is that there had been 80 drowning deaths in Lake Seminole, and they were able to find every body except for Mike's.
That feels weird.
So, it's awful, but it happens, and people are like, there's tons of alligators here. So, of course, this is what happened. Because there's no evidence of anything else. Also, it's not the police looking at it. It's park rangers.
Right.
Who are not trained in crime scene investigation tactics. So yeah, Denise is devastated, but also worried. She has bills and kids to raise and no salary from Mike. So even though it's only a disappearance, and it usually takes 5 years to declare someone dead,
Oh, no.
if they're just missing, she is able to petition the court after just 19 days.
What? 19 days?
That he
Honey.
is dead.
How over leveraged are you?
And collects that almost $2 million. Part of what helps is that mysteriously 10 days after the search, they find Mike's waders, which I guess are like really tall boots.
Yeah.
And some of his equipment, like a flashlight and a hat and stuff on this embankment right next to alligator poop. And that just completely solidifies the theory.
I don't know. You got to go more than a month.
Yeah.
19 days?
That feels
As
fast.
in like not even 3 weeks?
Yeah.
My dude.
Like
That make it. I mean, I think about it because I'm like, I try to give the benefit of the doubt because that's the thing. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, is that there's a part of true crime where there's sometimes where you feel like you're just getting the prosecution's point of view. And I'm like,
yeah.
I really want to dig and see if there's more to this because there's a lot of innocent people in prison and stuff. And there's a lot of
100%
times where these shows are so skewed and biased. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, if I'm Denise and, Eric is Mike, I'm like, I'd still be out there searching.
Hell yeah.
19.
That's what I mean. Because, that's like, because you don't want to believe it that quickly, right?
No.
Like, because that's, again,
You're definitely
like
still in the denial phase.
Less than 3 weeks. Like, I feel like I would be like, there's still a possibility.
Especially if there's no forensic evidence. There's no blood. There's nothing. I'm like, was he kidnapped? Was it like my brain is thinking all kinds of things. And if there's no evidence that he's dead, I just feel like 19 days is too soon to. That's
and
how
I feel like the courts, that they were just like, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah, you found his boots, probably dead, eaten by alligators. Granted. So she gets that $2 million, and that's that. Now, Mike's mom, Cheryl, not having any of this. She does not believe Mike is dead. The whole thing's off to her. First, Mike never went duck hunting by himself. Ever. Right. It's just not safe. Second, the car's in a muddy area for launch instead of right nearby there being a concrete area to launch your boat. So it's like, why
doesn't
would
make any sense?
Exactly. Third, the items found had no sign of animals or that they had been in the water for long. The flashlight they found still worked, but everyone had closed the case. It wasn't even a real case. They had just decided and moved on. Cheryl, when she wasn't running a daycare, did everything she could think of to have his disappearance investigated. Although, because he was the only body that had never been found, finally in 2004, 4 years later, FDLE agreed to open the case. And they did find more inconsistencies.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the things was that it was like too cold. The water was too cold that the alligators would have been.
Correct. Like, yeah, that's the thing. And it surprises me that the park rangers didn't know this.
I know. That would have been the first thing. Like, there's no way the alligators got them. Even the guy on the interview said that. He was like, yeah, it's too cold. They would have been practically hibernating.
Correct. And the fact is, like, they've seen evidence of like alligator attacks and stuff like that. They never like eat every bit. You know what I mean? That you wouldn't be able to find anything. And also it's just weird that like the waders didn't have any marks or of an animal attack on them. They were completely intact and there was no like forensic evidence in them. So they look like they hadn't even been put on. So, they also like his waders, like any experienced hunter knows not to wear them while you're driving the boat because you can fall in and drown. And Mike's friends knew that he knew this. But despite all the inconsistencies, in 2007, FDLE closed the case saying it was weird, but there's no concrete evidence of anything else. And because it wasn't handled like a crime scene back in the day, there's nothing really anyone can do.
Okay.
You know?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I imagine like his mom, Cheryl, but just any family member, how frustrated would you be?
Furious.
By that?
Yeah. She's literally, this case is only alive because of Cheryl. It really is.
Yeah.
It would have gone away completely because it was closed and a lot of people were like really annoyed by how persistent she was. I mean, at one point she was writing a letter every single day to Governor Rick Scott to get him to open the case every single day.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. She also she got the insurance company to investigate for fraud. Like she started all these different investigations, but no one could really find anything. However, there was something else very interesting that had the town talking that kind of had people believing that Cheryl might be onto something. And that was the fact that in 2005, Denise and Brian get married.
It's weird. It's just like, well, they're just comforting each other, Christina. Like,
yeah,
who are you to judge how they deal with their pain?
Right.
Honestly.
I mean, Brian did divorce his wife and moved into Mike's house, and they had that insurance money to live on, and
convenient.
So yeah, but years pass, and in 2012, Denise and Brian separate, reportedly due to his sex addiction, and she filed for divorce finally in 2015. So this is 15 years after all this stuff went down.
So she does know how to divorce.
Yeah, exactly. Brian opposed it and had to be ordered to comply. As part of that order, he was to provide an appraisal of the couple's house due in early August 2016. Denise told the sheriff's office investigators that on August 5th, the day when the appraisal had to be filed with the court, she left her home to drive to her job. And while she was talking on her phone to her sister, she saw someone climb over the back seat of her car. And it turned out to be Brian. He took her phone away and began yelling directions at her. She did not comply until he showed her a gun. She said later that he claimed this was necessary since she wasn't taking his calls and was blocking his texts. So instead...
Okay, because I don't want to see you or talk to you. Yeah, that's the point.
Yep. No means try harder, apparently, to this guy. So she pulled into a CVS drugstore parking lot close to the door. Brian told her that he was planning to kill himself with the gun. He did not want the divorce and felt as if he had nothing to live for if it went through. She was able to calm him down and took him back to where he had parked his own truck at a nearby park. Before he went to it, he took a tan sheet, a different colored plastic sheet, a spray bottle of bleach, and a tool from Denise's car. So he definitely had plans.
Sir, that is not the things that you take when you're going to
just kill yourself. Why would you need all that
stuff?
stuff?
Need that. That's not for you. That ain't right.
Yeah. So after she left, Brian pulled up to her and apologized. But despite her promise to him to not tell the police, she drove straight to them afterwards.
Yeah.
According to a friend of Winchester's, later interviewed by police, he had been increasingly concerned that as a result of the divorce, Denise would tell police what she knew about this guy who died 12 or 15 years ago. She had not answered his many phone calls, so he came up with his plan to wait in her car and hold her at gunpoint. So he's arrested and charged with kidnapping, domestic assault, armed burglary, and she says that she's fearing for her life and her daughters, and they're like, yeah, you're in jail for the next 30 years. So they lock him up. Like, I was like, wow.
That is shocking.
That's shocking.
It is shocking.
That, you know. So Cheryl had actually expressed hope that this development could lead to resolution of her son's disappearance, because she's convinced, she's like, Brian's not going to let Denise run around alone with all that money. And so she was hoping that he would say something. And apparently he did, because and this is where it gets dicey to me. And I want to hear what you guys think of this
Uh-huh.
thing. He gets immunity from prosecutors.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I remember being like sus.
Oh yeah, 100%
like
sus.
not cool. Like, yeah, okay.
So he gets immunity, and he tells finally the truth of what happened, according to him, to Mike Williams. He actually went out with Mike that day. He says that him and Denise started their affair actually in 1997. So 3 years after she had married Mike, and 3 years before his death, they had been carrying on this affair. She didn't want to get divorced because she didn't like how it looked.
Right.
Apparently,
Well, that's because she was very Christian and she didn't want the church, like, to be judged in the church.
Right. So it was just better if he just died. Plus, they get all that money. So very, very Christian of her, except for not at all.
Right.
So he basically says that she planned this whole thing. She convinced Mike to go out duck hunting early that morning, saying, you should go, just come back. And Brian met him there, and that he convinced Mike to put on his waders and then pushed him into the water thinking he would drown. He didn't. So he had to shoot Mike in the face and then bury him in this really remote section. It was just awful. But so they arrest Denise and they charge her with murder. The only evidence that they have is Brian's testimony.
Him. Yeah. Look, I have a hard time believing, because I think, like, don't her defense attorneys say, yeah, she didn't have anything to do with this, she didn't know about it, whatever. Like, I have a hard time believing that she didn't know about it and that she wasn't in on it. But I'm also like, so he gets immunity. The person who actually did the murder gets immunity.
Buried the body, like all that stuff. Like, he did all of the things.
Confesses that he did.
Yeah.
But yet,
confesses that he did, and is the only evidence against her.
Yep.
It is. You look. I have a hard time believing she didn't know anything about it. But you also shouldn't be able to just convict somebody
based on, well, it just feels like maybe, and we don't like her.
Right. Oh God.
Yeah, it's just the only, like, outside evidence other than Brian that they have is that Brian's ex-wife Kathy taped a few phone calls where she basically she was saying, I know what happened to Mike. Like, I know. And Denise said, what do you know? And they took that as saying, like,
that's not
an admission of guilt.
I'm
and
sorry.
like,
That's not.
If I'm a defense
that's not how that
attorney,
works.
this is my favorite case I've ever had in my entire life. This is the easiest case to
It
defend
should be.
ever.
It should
Yeah,
be.
because you should be like, members of the jury, look at this. Like, that should be all it is.
Honestly,
It's just like,
she could have
come
been
on,
like, well,
come
what
on.
do you know? Could have been like, well, what do you know? Like, I want to know what you know.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't have to.
Exactly.
I mean, what do you know? What do you mean?
Truly. Okay.
Yeah. So she is found guilty. She's found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and accessory after the fact. Life in prison because it's Florida. They're like,
Wild.
you're done.
So she's got life in prison, and he has 30 years on a kidnapping charge, but nothing for murder.
Kidnapping her.
Yeah.
Kidnapping her.
Yeah, and nothing for murder.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she does appeal because her attorney is like, seriously, what the fuck? She appeals and the murder conviction is overturned. So, but it still ends up being 30 years after for her charges for accessory after the fact and conspiracy stand. And so she is still in jail and will be for the next 30 years because this just happened.
I cannot believe that her defense could not pull this one out. It's kind of infuriating. And listen, I'm not saying that she is without probably some involvement, but
yeah, but you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because I'm with you. I bet you she was involved in some way, but it's just like, but we can't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't prove it, you can't convict somebody on
right.
that. Like that's not how this
you
works.
must acquit.
But see, that's what's so funny, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that you watch those Dateline or this disappearance and stuff like that, and you're getting one-sided from the prosecution, and it definitely, you come away like, man, this bitch is guilty or what have you. But when you really look at what was presented, it's like, well, there's no evidence against her except what
he said.
Home guy was like,
that he fucking did it.
He did it, and he's also upset that they're getting a divorce and trying to save his own ass, like all the things, you know. So he has every motivation to lie.
I just, none of this makes any sense.
I can't believe they made an immunity deal with him.
It's wild.
Yeah, so that is the tragic and almost like 20-year saga of the disappearance of Mike Williams.
Oh, man. That story is wild. Oof. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I know I've seen it on a whole bunch of things, and that's why it felt so familiar. And like, as soon as I said Brian Winchester, both of you guys were like, yeah, we know this one.
That name, yes,
I mean, Winchester,
that name was very recognizable to me. Wow, that story is... Like, honestly, it's everything. Yeah. It's like the fact that they were just like, I decay, probably alligators, you know, like
Jesus.
Everything about the story is just like, wait, what? He did what? He kidnapped her with a what in his car? And then he got immunity for shooting a man in the face?
Yeah. His friend. His high school friend. Like, they met each other and palled around from 15 on. They started their young families' lives together. Yeah. They went duck hunting together. And all the time behind his back, he's like fucking his wife.
God. And this is the guy that we trust is telling the truth.
Yeah, this is
convict
somebody
someone else.
Like a psychopath in some way, you know, to be able to compartmentalize that and act like they're homies.
Wow.
Well, you're basically like lying to their face every time you show up, you know?
God damn.
I mean, so, yeah.
Woo! Well,
mess, drama.
All right, let's cleanse this palate real quick. What have you guys been watching?
Seriously. I finished the last season I could find of Alone on Netflix. This last season, you guys, was in the Arctic.
Oh, no, Mount.
And if you make it 100 days, they give you $1 million.
Nope.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
So
I can't.
bananas.
I here's something I'll say. Since being in Missouri, we have not had 3 consecutive days of sunshine.
Oof.
It has rained every 2 days ish.
Yep.
Or every other day. My mood gets so bad if I am cold and there is no sun and it is like wet. I am pissed like all the time. Like yesterday was a beautiful day and I couldn't believe it. I woke up and it felt like a Disney movie. Like I was just like, birds are chirping, right? Like it was incredible. If I had to be in the Arctic,
No. Fuck you.
One of the
I would-
episodes, it started off the temperature negative 32 degrees.
You.
go fuck yourself in the strongest possible terms. It makes me angry. Like I'm like angry thinking
One person
about
got
that.
frostbite and had to be pulled out. Like another person, like wolves were circling his shelter. This one guy stabbed a muskox.
The wolves would be circling, and I would be like, you know what, guys, I understand. Take me.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't even want to be
honestly,
here anymore.
I shouldn't be here. I know it.
So-
like I know I shouldn't be here. Like
I feel bad for you guys for having to be here. So
Honestly, and when you guys sent me that comment that's like so Hunger Games, it really does feel like Hunger Games because you're watching people. I'm like, this is capitalism, man. People doing this shit to get $1 million. I'm like,
and while we sit at home, like
judging
under
them.
8,000 blankets,
only in America could this happen. Only in a capitalist society could this happen, where people would literally risk their fucking lives so that they could get
for
money.
money.
yep.
And really, in this economy, $1 million
enough.
isn't even that much money.
No,
like
ain't
I'm
enough.
like, and it's gonna be taxed.
That's right.
Oh, can you
No.
imagine? I would
got
be so fucking
$500,000.
angry.
Fuck you. You can suck.
You can't. Dude, there's this TikTok of this woman that is trying to move her family to Washington. And I didn't know the housing market was like that out there, but she's been she's
good
been
luck.
trying to buy a house.
Can't.
There was a corner lot selling for like, it only had 10,000 square feet or whatever. So not that much. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, fire damaged house with no windows, $1.3 million.
Go fuck yourself.
That happened because Apple moved up there. And so when that happened, it's either Apple or Google moved up there. And it made like this insane boom in the marketplace up there. And I only know that because having had gone there for work, they were talking about, I had rented an Airbnb, and the guy at the Airbnb was telling me like the market was crazy and he'd have people staying there. And it was like almost impossible to even find a fucking hotel sometimes up there because people are living in hotels.
Oh my God, it's probably cheaper. Yeah. Then, oh my God.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, this timeline is fun, eh? Yeah.
Good times, great oldies.
I have not watched anything new in the last week or so. I am desperately trying to get through my April books because April is wrapping up and I'm like, oh no, like I feel like I'm falling behind. So I have been reading The Song of Achilles, and that's also by Madeline Miller, who also wrote Circe, and it's very good. I mean, she's just really a brilliant writer. Personally, for me, I mean, I think I enjoyed Circe more just because, I mean, you've got like a witch goddess who lives on an island and turns men into pigs. What's not to like? You know what I mean? But it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And it's definitely got a lot more romance elements to it. But if you enjoy Greek mythology or you liked Circe, you should definitely read it because it is very good. It's a beautiful story.
Well, what did I watch? Oh, I started watching the confession tapes of John Wayne Gacy last night.
Oy vey.
Yeah.
Scary,
Wow,
scary,
dude.
scary.
It is that. Well, I mean, it's John Wayne Gacy, so of course it's a trigger warning from
Gross.
the beginning. It's awful,
Right.
Like I was packing, and it's one of those things that I kind of did, where I was like, I'm not paying full attention to this, so I'm just gonna have it on in the background, and that was the best I could do for it. I didn't watch the whole thing, yet, and I probably will continue because it is in depth and it does give you a lot of nuance. It talks to surviving victims of his and things that it's like, well, you know, these people deserve to have a voice, and you know, it doesn't celebrate.
He's a monster.
No, he's fucking awful. Like
monster.
I was hesitant going in because of I felt like the Ted Bundy gets tapes kind of got a little I don't know how to say it, but like, if not empathetic, but
not
it's just
celebratory or whatever, where it seems to, like, you know, yeah.
People were almost like, wow, like they seemed impressed in a way that felt gross to me with those
This just
tapes.
feels gross. So T to B, it's just gross. But it does, like I said, give some of his victims like a real actual voice to state like, you know, some of the atrocities that happened to them. And, you know, like the first episode, I mean, this guy is interviewed, and no, he didn't kill this guy, but what he did to him is equally, well, not equally, because I mean, he has his life, but you know, anyway, like it's just, you know,
horrible.
It's awful. It's terrible. And, you know, he's not been able to like talk about what happened to him.
Yeah.
And he was never able to go to police about it. And it does, I don't know, it does put that fine point on the idea of why people don't go to the police when things like this happen.
Right.
It's the threat against them, the threat against their lives. That was, you know, this guy had said, you know, his life was threatened by John Wayne Gacy. So, I mean, like, he didn't feel safe in that way. But I mean, like, that's, I mean, in a nutshell, that is the same reason why no one ever goes to the police, goes to authorities when things like this happen, because there isn't a safe guarantee that you're going to walk away from that scenario safely, or that you're going to walk away with any justice. So
yeah, exactly.
That was not.
I thought we were going to end on a high note. Like, I'm like, this is we're right back in Bum City.
I did also watch the Abercrombie and Fitch documentary.
Oh, good. Thank
God. Boy, did it take me back. I actually blame them a lot for the early 2000s. I'm just going to say.
I really feel like I don't need to watch that documentary. I'm like, I lived it. Yeah. I'm like, you don't quote the old magic to me, witch. I fucking was there when it was written. I don't need to.
Do you know what this fucking documentary did right at the beginning, though? Is they fucking explained what a mall was.
I know. I saw that.
And
like,
I
someone
was
made
like,
a meme
I
of that.
To Eric, and I was like, are we that fucking old now?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess we are. We're having to watch a documentary explain what a mall is. Which to those viewers
go to
who
malls.
may not be
like,
aware.
I don't understand.
I just went to a mall literally yesterday.
I
live in Los
exist,
Angeles, and I
right?
just went to a mall. It's not like they're not a thing.
Where are people shopping other than online? Like, if you're shopping in person, how you have to go to a mall? Like, that's where the stuff is.
I guess maybe the younger generation is like,
kids
mall?
these days.
What? Yeah. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
Well, if you have something that we should watch or read, or you have a story, please reach out to us at our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstatepodcast.com. Also, a reminder that we do have that live show, so you can go to the website and check out information about that. And we love you so much. Cheers.